Good afternoon. It's not on,
Yes, sir.
Montgomery County Board of Education special call meeting is now called to order. We do have a quorum with the 7 members in attendance. At this time, we'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt the revised agenda as printed.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we adopt the revised agenda as printed. Is there any discussion? Sitting here none. Those who are in favor, let's unite show of hands. It is unanimous. First item on the agenda, receive as information, the admission policy for foster students by Dr. Kathleen Williamson.
Good afternoon. So the first piece that you have in your handout is the amendment that is being proposed to our current board policy. It is inclusive of our homeless piece. The only addition is foster care. So you see, do you have this in your packet? You see the highlighted section where we currently in our policy address homeless students, and that we will ensure that there are not any barriers to their being admitted into our school district, as well as which schools they attend. We needed to update our policy so that it also includes students who are receiving foster care. So that is the only addition to this policy. Are there any questions about that policy? Do you need me to tell you more?
No, but I have one question.
Okay.
Foster care and homeless, although it's on this policy, it's paid out of different funds, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And, Mr. President, if you will, I think maybe Dr. Moore is about to answer, but what funding source, just by the way?
Well, for homeless, it comes under McKinney-Vento.
Okay.
Foster care, it's not under McKinney-Vento, but it's a federal funding piece. I really don't know the title number, I'm sorry.
And you don't typically get a huge amount of money for foster care. It's just that children are maybe relocated from one home to another, and their zoning may be different, and so we're trying to make it as easy as possible for the parents of the foster parents to be able to get their students enrolled.
Okay.
Okay, Kathleen, are you saying that the only thing changed on here was the homeless, everything else is remaining the same?
No, well, the only thing that changed on here is that we added that clause that this also pertains to students who
So
are
everything
in
here
foster
is
care.
staying?
That is
Okay,
correct.
so, and then I do have a question on that.
Okay.
Okay, on page 4, item 6, it says truancy parents or guardians are required to ensure that students under their care, custody, or control attend school regularly. Next sentence, habitual.
That's a different policy. I believe you are. That's a different
Okay,
policy.
okay, that's what I was just saying.
You're on a
So,
different policy.
so we're talking about
You're
attendance, so
not there
don't.
yet. You're
We're
not
not-
there.
Right now, we're talking about homeless and
Okay,
foster.
but we are
Right,
gonna
and the
go.
attendance piece.
Okay, it was just stapled all together and thought it was one thing. Good deal.
Yes, ma'am, it was stapled all together because I needed to give it to you in its entirety.
Okay.
But this is about the admission portion for children in foster care as well as homeless. Yes, ma'am. Are there any other questions toward this section? Okay. The next piece that you have is a recommendation for a new board policy. This is regarding our recordings for IEP meetings and for 504 meetings. The purpose of adding this policy, and this is a direct outflow from IDEA, but the purpose of us adding this to our board policy is really to protect our students and to protect our personnel, so that when we have IEP meetings or when we have 504 meetings, that anyone who is participating in that meeting really clearly understands what the procedures are for when that meeting can be recorded and what that looks like. So here you have all of those procedures outlined so that we can be very transparent. Those recordings happen only when a parent needs that recording to happen because they have some disability that interferes with them participating in the meeting without that recording. And then from there, it outlines exactly what the process would be in our district for notifying us that a recording will be taking place and us being able to respond to a parent when they are requesting to do so. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Ma'am.
I'm not trying to be stupid, I just know the last meeting we had, I either felt like I was on drugs, which I don't do drugs, but I would ask about the 17, and we already discussed that. I would ask about the bus, and y'all would say, we've already discussed that. Okay, and I don't remember discussing any of that. I just asked about the attendance, and you went straight from all these attendance sheets, straight to this. I'm not upset with you, but this policy on attendance, I just want it on record that I have questions, obviously not about the homeless, but there are other attendance policies here that I just don't want somebody to go, oh, we discussed that because y'all shut me up on it again. I'm like, when will we discuss this?
Okay, may I ask you, ma'am, if
Yes.
you'll do this for us, since this is not part of our discussion tonight?
Right.
Would you send me in writing your concerns or your questions about? the
I'll be
attendance
glad to do that,
policy?
but I don't understand why put this in front of our face if we're not going to discuss it.
Okay, I will try to explain that to you.
Because if we're gonna make policy, or you say we make policy and I get overridden every time I try to talk about policy, I don't understand you as a superintendent who works for the board, you know, that my questions are not answered.
Okay, I will try to explain that to you. Based on our format today, and the agenda item deals with the foster students, and adding that one clause that is already in an existing policy, so that we can take care of our foster kids the way we need to. As you remember last week, Kim Pitts gave a review of all of the policies being reviewed. And so if you have a question about a particular part of a policy that was not discussed tonight, that was not up for discussion, then if you'll submit that to me in writing, then I will submit it to Kim, so that when we go over the policy manual, we will make sure that we take into consideration your questions regarding the other part of this other policy that has already been adopted.
Okay, I would just suggest in the future then, Superintendent,
Yes, ma'am.
more that you don't include things with the policy, so I won't be confused. Because I just don't want it to happen what the last time we met. I don't want to hear we discussed it when I've tried to discuss it, and I'm not allowed to discuss it.
Let me just say this then, in response to that, and then we can move on, sir.
Ma'am.
Sir, Mr. President. We gave you the whole policy because that one little caveat is a part of that whole policy. So that you would see that this foster piece fits into this particular policy. So we would be more than glad to address it if you just give it
Okay,
to
well,
us
we
in writing.
discussed that we're gonna talk about discipline and attendance, and we should, as a board, be able to discuss that at a special called board meeting or board meeting. It shouldn't be, I mean, I have two other jobs
Mr. President,
than to do
I-
that.
Let me try to clarify that for you. The policy handbook right now is being worked on, and we will have what we call work sessions to go through each of those policies. My understanding, we'll start that during the summer, where we have special called board meetings. We are redoing the policy handbook. Each section of that handbook, when they're placed in order, we'll have work sessions to go on each section. I think there are 7 sections that we'll go through thoroughly. If there are questions and concerns or some changes to be made, then at those work sessions, you'll have the opportunity to address any policy item that you so wish to do.
Please understand my concern. Last week, when I asked about 2 things, I was told we had already discussed it, and I know we had not. And I just don't want that to happen again. I'm nipping in the bud today, let it be on camera, that they said we would discuss this. Thank you.
Yes, and if I may add one last thing. When you receive your board packet, which has all of your agenda items on it, if you look at your agenda item and you have something that you need to discuss that's related to that item on the agenda, or if you want to add something prior to the meeting, then let us know, and we can address it as part of the agenda.
And I understand that, but
Appreciate
when
that.
you say admission policy for foster students, how am I supposed to know that that means attendance? I see that, I come here, I'm sorry that I am not as educated as everybody here and don't know that. So if we could
You'll
just.
call me
But
prior
I
to
wouldn't have
our-
known to call you on that. I
Okay,
wouldn't have known,
fine.
that doesn't say anything about attendance to me, but
Okay.
yet you hand me an attendance policy.
We'll discuss that several times. Let's move on to the next agenda item, and then we'll.
Hope the voters are watching this.
Okay. The next
This
item
is
on
all
the agenda,
about
rules and procedures for reporting special education needs. You've just gone through that. Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Dr. Moore. Are there any other questions relative to the two items that were presented?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, consider for approval the certified personnel minutes, April 25th, 2018.
Mr.
Okay,
President, oh, sorry.
Huh?
Sorry.
Did you say something, Melissa?
Please, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Okay, we're on number 5. Consider for approval, recommendation coming from the superintendent.
Okay, other than items 16 and 30 on the certified personnel minutes, I recommend approval of the certified personnel minutes.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the certified personnel minutes omitting number 16 and number 30.
Second. It has been moved and properly seconded that we approve the certified personnel minutes, April 25th, 2018. Is there any discussion?
I have clarification, I'm asking for clarification. I know that we non-renew, people without tenure and all of that. And this has been a common practice for us, but I'm hoping, knowing that we're gonna have to have additional teachers, those that have not been functioning at the level that they should have been functioning will be on the list for rehire.
Yes, ma'am, and many of these are because of their certificates. And if they get their certificates, pass whatever they need to pass, then they can be reconsidered for rehire. Especially when you look at things like math and science, and
Right.
that has more to do with certification than anything else.
I did have one question, Mr. President. In relation to Title I, I noticed there were a few Title I teachers on the list. I was wondering, and I remember the interim state superintendent mentioning that he wanted to make the cuts. It's not so close to the classroom, but, and so what I noticed is, well, let me just go back. I noticed that some of the Title I staff was, not all of central office Title I staff. So is it just the teachers?
No, ma'am, let me explain that to you.
Okay.
Title I federal grant money, that's all considered soft money. And so many of the Title I type people that you see were paid for out of Title I funds rather than being on a contract that had a beginning and an end. And so to redo that and put them on a contract for future reference, they would then have to be non-renewed, and then when you bring them back on a contract, so that if all of your Title I money does not come through, they have a contract for that year, as opposed to an ongoing kind of a contract.
And that was in relation to the central office or everyone?
Everybody.
Okay.
Title I in particular, if it says Title I, many of them are because of the contract being, having a beginning and an end, which right now they don't have.
So let me ask you this. I guess my question, I'll just ask it bluntly. If it's Title I, and I understand that explanation, it's a valid one. But why, I guess I wanted to know, why not all of the Title I? I know it really is the teachers. And you may have explained it, maybe it's going over my head, But why not maybe some, to me, if it's in the school, I know it's needed, I know it's a process to make sure that it's justified, that it's getting the results that you needed to get in the classrooms, in the schools. But it looks like that most of the Title I teachers were affected and not so much the ones in central office. How do we monitor that? How do we know if they're affected?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
How do we know if the people in Title I at the central office level are also effective? How do we measure that? And how do we,
So, first of all, the contract piece has nothing to do really with effectiveness. It has to do with the kind of pay that they receive and the kind of contract they're on. So they are not on like a contract where you get tenure. They should not be,
Right.
because that Title I money may go away.
right?
So they can't get tenure in that, so we need to do a contract that says you're in a position from, say, June 1 to May 30th. And you're on a contract, and that contract ends. If Title I money goes away, then they can be put back into a classroom setting. However, during the summer or whenever, as soon as possible, we'll advertise those jobs. If the principals pick someone, then that person can be put on a contract as a curriculum specialist, let's say, at School B. Then those funds that are allocated to School B are the funds that are used to pay for that Title I position.
So would that be systemic for whether you're in central office or a teacher, or that would only apply to teacher? Is it applying to everyone?
Well, the central office people, in this case, do not have that kind of a contract.
Okay.
They may not have tenure as a teacher, they may have tenure as a teacher. That's the only kind of tenure that I understand that you can have now, no matter where you are. You can go back to being a teacher. So, and the central office pot of money is different from the money that goes out to a school. So we have some schools that may get $500,000 in Title I money. They can use that money to determine what they want to do with their programs. And it may be that they have some people in that $500,000 that they pay for out of a contract. If that $500,000 goes away, and they have not put those people on a contract, then they are at some point, or we are, as a system, obligated to keep that person if they have a tenured position, without the money that's coming from Title I.
If I can piggyback on this, I think, and I don't know if this is your concern, what about the people who were removed from the regular budget to the Title I budget? Like the principal leads and some others that were in the regular budget, but they were moving. I thought that Title I money should be as close to the students as possible, schools is what, and is that a concern of yours as well?
Yes, that was part of my concern.
Okay, I will attempt to answer that question, and Kim may have to help me on this, but,
Okay.
so if you have people in the central office, for instance, people who are with the system, who have tenure in the system, as, you know, maybe they were principals, they'll have tenure there, now they can be tenured as a teacher. If that Title I money goes away, then those one or two people could go back into a classroom. If they are people who did not have tenure in the system prior to becoming a Title I person, and that money goes away, then they don't have tenure, and so they, in effect, would not necessarily have a job.
Okay.
Because principals and central office staff don't get tenure, you have to go back to the classroom.
If you were tenured as a
Right.
teacher in the system prior to, yes, ma'am.
Well, I think it's just 4 principals in the system that had tenure
Yes,
before we went to the new law.
right. Now they're all on contract for the most part.
Right, except
And
those 4.
I want to say I agree with Ms. Briers and Ms. Smith on their concerns, but I also want to add, on this list, you did mention math and science teachers, and when I last checked with Kim Pitts, she mentioned that the reason that, I was complaining about so many permanent substitutes was because we could not find math and science teachers. I think we're taking a huge risk at losing more teachers in the math and science field when you're letting them go like this. So, I mean, that's a huge concern.
Well, I contacted all of my principals, and my understanding as well, I spoke
They
to
haven't passed the praxis.
Ms. Pitts. Those individuals that you see, we've got a range of things that's happening there with respect to even the certification piece. So certainly this became something of a serious concern. I believe she can explain that to you.
I will. In your package, you should have the numbers of the ones that were non-renewed for all of the different reasons. It's a chart. That's it. Ms. Snowden's holding it up. That's exactly what I'm talking about, with an explanation to say, because I can't put names on that, because that will become something that we have to deal with later. But when you look at the numbers, it should be pretty glaring that it's for those reasons that I stated on there. If you'd like to know specifics, and I will say, the majority of our math and science is for that reason. It is certification. It is, when you look at that certification number, you'll see it's very large. If you count the math and science people, it's gonna be very close. But you'll also see a category that says multiple. That means there were many of those issues. And some of the math and science teachers fall in that situation as well.
And keep in mind that if we don't non-renew in this case, on or before the last day of school, then we will have those people to work the next year. And so we have to take care of that on the front end. Then if they get everything done that they're supposed to get done, then they're eligible to get called back.
And those for certification, they've had all year to clear those things up. They've had a full academic year to clear them up, and if they have not, we're at the 9th hour, so to speak. And if they haven't done it at this point, then if we keep them, what happens is then the State Department will deem those people out of field and not qualified to teach the children. And so we have to get them qualified first. Some of them will finish some things up over the summer. Some of the classes are in progress. Some of them are still taking tests. But until we do that, I have to make sure that I protect the board and make sure that we don't have people employed who have not been deemed qualified.
Mr. President, I call for the question.
Okay, those who are in favor, let's see by show of hands.
Oh, did you, wait,
Oh,
Mr. Dean wanted to say something.
oh, go ahead, Dean.
No, I was just gonna observe, I mean, we can't keep teachers who aren't certified.
Right.
Right.
My understanding, right, no
Right.
matter how bad we need that. But it is my understanding they could always apply for these charter schools, couldn't it? Because you don't have to be certified to teach in a charter school. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, I
And
just
we
wanted,
got lots of those cropping
yeah,
up.
Good
Oh, yeah,
observation.
they don't have to be certified.
I just thought it was interesting.
It's quite
Mr.
interesting.
Dean, I thought so too.
Absolutely, as well. Now, are we ready?
Real quick, just so that the public will, is it okay if I just say the categories? Just kind of reiterating what Ms. Pitt said. So we're looking at performance, the number of people, who were non-effective, certification, those who are needing to complete certification, attendance, the budget, meaning what, I guess, if you can explain that. That was my other question.
No money.
Well,
No
I talked
money
to some
for 'em?
today,
No money, that's,
some
that's
had,
a
no,
easy.
That's
no,
the easy one, but just so people
some
know.
some schools had lost enrollment numbers.
Okay, so for the
We have
enrollment,
the principals, and if they lost teaching units,
okay.
then we don't have
That's so the public will know.
Yes.
And multiple issues which you explained, okay.
And that's the foundation,
Yeah,
are
that's
you
the
talking about
foundation.
on the budget foundation numbers?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, you ready? Those who are in favor, let's see by show of hands. It is unanimous.
Okay. I recommend approval of the admission policy for foster students.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt the admission policy for foster students.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we adopt the admission policy for foster students. Is there any discussion? Those who are in favor, let's see by show of hands. It is unanimous.
I recommend approval of the rules and procedures for recording special education meetings.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt the rules and procedures for recording special education meetings.
Second,
It has been moved and properly second that we adopt the rules and procedures for recording special education meetings. Is there any discussion? Those who are in favor, let's see by show of hands. It is unanimous. Next item on the agenda is for the board. And this time we will, each of you should have in front of you not only the notice for, you have a notebook, each of you have this notebook, oh, you're passing those out now. You're receiving a notebook that reflects the notice as far as the application is concerned. If you turn over, you look at the number of applicants and those that were with the X beside them. On your blue sheet, you'll see that those that were with the X beside them met all of the standards or qualifications that we were looking for as far as the superintendent is concerned. Now, those applicants you'll find in your folder their resumes. And at this time, if you would, we would like for you to go through those. What we have is a tally sheet, and as you go through them, you will rate them from 1 to 5. 1 being less likely to, hire, the number 5 would be exceptional. And if you would do it from 1 to 5, then I have a sheet here whereby all of those that are listed, I think you've got 12 that you'll have to go through. And when you rate them, I'll place the rating beside your name and we'll tally them up and determine 3 to 5 that we will set for interview on next Tuesday, which is the 2nd. So which is the 1st, I'm sorry. So if you would now, if you start going through those applicants and then do your little tally sheet, we'll determine the 3 to 5.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
the top 5 or the top 3?
Well, whichever you decide, 3 to 5. Whichever the board decide, what's your pleasure? 3 to 5. 3, I think, would be,
Yeah, I mean.
3 would be enough.
It's a short.
Right.
It is.
And then we wouldn't have we'd have 3 interviews. Let's just take time now and go through which.
We're gonna do this today.
We're
That's
gonna
what
look
I-
through all this and.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and one thing I thought about was this. Matter of fact, I had this conversation with Ms. Pitts. It is quite bulky, and to do it now, to go through all of these, would take a considerable amount of time. My suggestion was to allow each of you to take these perusal, go through them at home, and maybe we can get those numbers into her. We gotta get those applicants at time though, such that they can be here by Monday, Tuesday next week. So maybe we might need to call another special meeting. Today is Wednesday, maybe Friday, short period of time, Friday. Call a short period, meeting Friday, special meeting Friday, this week Friday. And then we'll have that list, you'll have a chance to go through it thoroughly. You don't need to rush on anything. So you'll take this booklet, go home, peruse it, go through it thoroughly. Rate them 1 to 5. When we come back on Friday, shouldn't take long then, because you should have your numbers. And we'll just take those numbers and from each of you, with respect to how you rated each of those individuals, I'll tell them. I have each of your names here, beside each of those individuals, whatever your score. I'll write the scores down, and we'll tally those scores to determine the top 3. How about that? Would that work for each of you?
Yeah.
Would that work for each of you?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just do that. Yes, sir.
I mean, we need to.
I mean,
discuss
one of
it.
five, I mean, I was more for the 5, but,
Well, that's fine. We just.
It should be 5.
Would you
Yeah,
have one?
5 would be better.
5 would be.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna go back to, our mediation agreement. And one of the things that was important in the mediation agreement is they wanted the process to be open to the public and transparent. That's one of the major concerns regarding
So
the
so
search.
that means we need to go through it today, open?
This is what I would strongly suggest to you. If you could do it today while everyone's here, you would need to do it. Now, we have, that would be my suggestion, because if you're gonna do the rating sheets, I think it's gonna be important that those rating sheets be done while everyone is here and in place. If you decide to not do it, if you're gonna take it home and do it somewhere else, or review the application, then don't take the rating sheets, wait till you come back and bring the rating sheets and then rate them. But don't take the rating sheets home with you and rate them at home, because then it's not transparent.
Okay. What do y'all think?
keep
I
the
think
rating
that's
sheet.
I think that's fair. 'Cause,
That's
I mean,
fair.
we
Does
can't
everybody
sit here
pass
and do
pen
this
in your
all-
rating sheet? Well, here's the rating sheet I have for everyone.
Don't you have?
Everyone has their own individual one.
Everyone, you got your own, well, y'all need to get those rating
I
sheets.
don't see it.
It's in your pocket,
it's
in the
white.
pocket.
I
The
think
left
that
hand
as
pocket.
long as we share why, when we reconvene at the next meeting, and we say why we submit our 5, that to me is being transparent when we share why we
The
chose
5.
those.
5, right.
Our,
Yeah, I
Three
think
to
we should-
5, I think.
Well,
3
let's
to
don't
5.
say 3 to 5, let's say a number.
Well,
Let's-
let's make it
well,
one
if you
simple.
got 12 applicants, I see no reason, and I see 3 or 4 good names on here.
Okay, let's
So
say
I-
5.
You said 3, you couldn't.
Okay, let's do this then. I'll tell you what. Why don't each of us get 5, okay?
right,
And the top 3, you know, in terms of setting up for an interview, then the top 3 out of each of our 5s, then we choose those top 3. One to
well,
each
we
person.
did that last time with the.
Right, I think that's the way we handled it last time.
Okay,
And I think that would be open, and certainly, it would certainly be transparent, because then everyone would get a chance at that first point in time to listen to and be able to hear what the numbers are, the choices are at that time, and then we can set out what the interview would be for Tuesday. Would that work for you?
Yes.
That'll work? Okay, well, let's just do that. Okay, now,
Are we turning these?
well, yeah, give me your rating sheets, because we don't want you to carry those home and lose all transparency, so I want to make sure I take those up from
wait, what are you taking out?
the rating
Just
sheets.
getting the white
Give me your
sheet.
rating sheets. We'll get these back, you'll get these back on, you'll get these back on. And let's see if we can set a special, Tom, we need a special board meeting on Friday, wouldn't we?
What time?
Listen, that's, what time will we need? Oh, my God.
Deacon. What?
Well, if you, could you submit your 5
I can
then?
give you my 5, but I gotta have my rating sheet.
You ain't lying.
No,
Okay,
he
what
can-
about
he can write a
tomorrow?
note.
I can give you the
The
5.
names are.
You can give your 5?
The names are in the book, just right,
Yeah,
just,
Well,
I can do that.
well, we want to be transparent now.
we'll be
wanna be
transparent, but I'm glad you giving us a chance to take this.
Want to be transparent.
Does that match with the mediation requirement?
Attorney Stokes, does that measure, would that be fine with the mediation agreement?
Match with the mediation?
Because we don't want to do anything outside what mediation calls for. Would that be okay?
So what now? I didn't-
In other words, to give them opportunity to go through each of these and come back on Friday, we do our ratings and selection on
What time
Friday.
Friday?
An open meeting, an open meeting,
Yes.
and then just call those 3 that we may interview for the interview process on Tuesday. So that would be fine.
I have a
Okay.
question, if Mr. Dane's not gonna be here, how can he submit Friday, so we stay with what we're supposed to do?
Yeah.
Always the worst thing.
I know, but you got to get payroll.
No, it won't count.
Mr. Linder,
Dang, let's see if we can work out a time to fit for Dane
I was
Tuesday.
thinking
I like-
Monday, can y'all do it on Monday afternoon?
No, Monday afternoon, that's when we're supposed to start the interview process.
Before the-
Could we move,
Meetings change.
could we move that, maybe,
Why can't we
could we
come
push
Friday?
my question is, could we push the interview process back? Does it have to be on the 1st? Could we do it starting on Wednesday?
Well, if you come Friday, they got the whole weekend,
Right,
so,
So,
do
okay.
Friday and still could,
but Derek,
keep
we
it
were
at-
trying to work and come.
Well, yeah,
I'm
'cause
out of town.
what day?
Friday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh, my God.
So we are gonna have.
I'm out of town 4 days.
We can't do it tomorrow.
Let me ask this question then. Where's the attorney? Ms. Kim Pearson. Is it possible then, rather than having the interview on Monday, we can have well, no, you can't say Tuesday because we would have,
Scheduled on Tuesday.
I know you have it scheduled on Tuesday, but could we push it to maybe Thursday or Friday of next week for the individuals to come in, which would give an opportunity on Monday for us to just present and come to meet to choose the 3 or 5 top on Monday, because we already have a meeting set for Monday, and then maybe on
Meeting set for
Tuesday, and then maybe on Thursday or Friday, have the interview the people in on Thursday or Friday. Could we do that? Could we do that?
That'll work.
How would that work?
Yes, sir.
How would that work? Rather than have the interview people come in on the 2nd,
I'm going to
we,
a
since
convention
there
on
need to be a
Friday.
part of the process, why don't we have the Thursday interview for Thursday or Friday next week?
Could you all do
Thursday.
Thursday? I'm going to a convention on Friday.
Oh, we do Thursday then. Could we meet Tuesday and then do Thursday for the interview process?
Yeah.
No, we're gonna meet Monday.
She said Monday rather than Tuesday?
Robert, we're gonna meet Monday.
Okay, meet
Make
Monday.
the candidate, choose the candidates on Monday.
And then the 30th.
The
The
30th.
30th, and then on
At what
Thursday.
time?
Thursday.
What's a good time?
I'm good anytime Monday.
I'm good.
Well, let's say noon. What about noon?
I mean,
Oh,
no,
5.
No, let's do, I mean, I'm good at
Noon?
like 4.
4 Monday.
For Monday.
4 Monday. Cancel Tuesday. And then we'll reschedule the interview process for Thursday.
Give you enough time,
Mhm.
Thursday, and
Yes.
that gives me enough time to contact
Right,
3 or
Yeah.
4 or 5
Right.
people,
And
so
have-
that if they have to travel.
right. So we do Monday selection, Thursday interview.
It's April 30.
And what time do you want to start?
We'll start at 8 o'clock like we stated earlier.
Is that good with everyone then? That'll
What
be
is
8 o'clock
Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday the 3rd.
Third.
Does that be okay? Okay, everybody seems to be in agreement with
One thing, remember that the information y'all have received is highly confidential. Do not disseminate it, do not give the names of any of those that
that.
in your
Apply.
package that apply.
Absolutely.
And make sure they're confidential and do not talk to anyone about it. Keep it extremely, extremely confidential.
Absolutely.
So Monday
Okay.
the 30th at 8 o'clock,
No, Monday the 30th at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock Monday. And then we're looking at Thursday, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Thursday.
And Tuesday.
We're not meeting Tuesday. We're canceling Tuesday. We're meeting Monday for the selection.
I just heard Tuesday.
And we're going to meet Thursday to interview the candidates that we
At
select
8 a.m.
at 8 a.m. that we
I checked my
select,
calendar.
that we select on Monday at 4. Is everybody in agreement? Okay. Well, if that's all,
Thursday at 8 o'clock.
we've changed quite a bit here, so we need to get that information out to the public also. So at this time, this meeting is adjourned.
4 o'clock interview.